Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, we Americans don't use the metric system. We've got a foot fetish. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 games that take place right here in America. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, top 10 games that take place in America. Let me be very clear about what I am talking about here. These are games that have a very distinct American flavor to them. They either have take place in American history, or they have kind of maps of America, or just things that are kind of unique to the American experience are involved in this game. Um, Pretty straightforward. I've done top 10 games in France and Britain. Now it's time for my country, America. First of all, I have some honorable mentions. First up, Ticket to Ride. The original Ticket to Ride has a great American map. You're moving around the United States there. A House Divided, those from Mayfair Games. They're doing a reprint from GMT, which is a Civil War game. Very good, but accessible, strategic level Civil War game. Washington's War, again, this is a GMT game about George Washington and the American Revolution. Very fun. Hidden Strike American Revolution from Worthington is a very good game as well. There's a lot of different game modes you can play with that one. It's good solitaire as well as multiplayer, cooperative. Chancellorsville, 1863, another great Civil War game from Worthington there about the Battle of Chancellorsville. Some hidden movement in that one as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at my top 10 games set in America or with an American theme. Number 10 from GMT Games. This came out a couple of years ago. This is Plains Indian Wars. This is kind of a riff on the Birth of America system that we saw from Academy Games, but here you have different factions of Native Americans, and they are fighting, of course, the United States Army and settlers as they're trying to kind of expand the railroad out west. This is a very fun area control game. It's got a great combat system. It's got a great system where you don't know from round to round what the turn order is going to be, and some great cards and card play here as well. Very fun game, and it's got some good history, and it's kind of obviously a touchy history, a controversial history, and I think it handles it very well, and it pays a lot of tribute to Native Americans in this game. So that is Plains Indian Wars. That is my number 10. That is from GMT Games. My number 9 is something of a, I guess you could say, a science fiction version of the game, of the theme. This was a game that originally came out in the 80s. It was part of the Game Master series from Milton Bradley, and it was re-released about 2012 from Fantasy Flight Games. This is Fortress America, and Fortress America is a game in which you have power blocks from Europe, South America, and Asia simultaneously militarily attack the United States. And the United States player, of course, must defend the territory with regular units and with partisans, and they also have lasers here. It's a very fun game that it borrows a lot from like an Axis and Allies, but there's also a lot of, it's very much its own game here too, as you're trying to defend the cities and make sure that the invaders don't take the cities. But it's fun playing any one of the factions that are invading. They have their own unique strategic choices and problems, and then of course the defenders just trying to hold on and salvage as much of the country as they can. That is Fortress America. This version that I own is from Fantasy Flight Games, and that is my number 9. My number 8 is a game that, I will be blunt, I never have finished the full 8 years of the game, 8 rounds of the game, because it is so big. In fact, it's so big, I cannot fit it on my table here. When I did play it, I had to put it on a table and a counter. It's massive. It is a massive real estate hog, and it is just a massive, massive deep game. This is Mr. President from GMT Games. Mr. President is a presidential simulator. Essentially, you are making all sorts of decisions about foreign policy, China, Russia, but you're trying to keep your eyes on terrorists in different locations around the world. At the same time, you're trying to pass different kinds of bills through Congress. You are trying to kind of massage the press. You're trying to build up your own legacy. It's really amazing how much thought and planning and design went into this game to really get that theme out. The downside is it's incredibly long. There's so much to it. And if they had found a way to streamline this game, make it a cooperative game instead of just a solitaire, I might have liked it a little bit better. I mean, I really did like it. I think it's a masterpiece, to be honest. But it's just so big, I ended up giving it to Ray because I didn't think I was ever going to get it at the table again. But this is number 8, Mr. President, and that is from GMT Games. My number 7 is another political game. This is from Fort Circle Games, Votes for Women. This is a really good game about the suffragette movement, the suffrage movement here in the United States in the late 19th and early 20th century, about women trying to gain the votes. One player plays the women's suffrage movement. One player plays the opposition. And again, it almost kind of feels like a Twilight Struggle, or even a 1960 Making of a President kind of a feel, in that you're trying to get area control, but there's card play there as well, and then you've got to try to get it onto the ballot for the Constitution. You got a lot of dice rolling here. It's a super fun game. I really enjoyed Votes for Women. It's as fun as it is educational, and great experience. That is Votes for Women. My number 7. That is from Fort Circle Games. My number 6 is a game that I played. I still got a copy. It's been years since I played it, but I really enjoy it. I played this a ton 20 years ago when I got it. But this is my number 6, The American Civil War from Eagle Games. This was a Glenn Drover design, and it's a kind of a massive game. You've got the eastern United States to the Mississippi. You've got infantry and cavalry and artillery. When forces meet, you get on the battle board and you put the battle board out, and you've got different sections of your line. You're trying to hold the line. So you've got the tactical battles and the large strategic engagements and operations. You've got things like the Europeans are trying to get the Southerners are trying to get the Europeans on their side. You've got the North is trying to enact the Emancipation Proclamation. Really a fun Civil War game, a great theme, and I really enjoyed it. That is number 6. That is the American Civil War from Eagle Griffin Games. My number 5 is an American Revolution game. This is from Worthington. This is Freeman's Farm 1777. Freeman's Farm 1777 is a great game about kind of a smaller engagement of the American Revolution. And what's interesting here is when I first saw the game, I remember seeing the arrows and where they all pointed and thinking, that looks really limiting. It looks like you don't really have the ability to do all the things you would really like to do in a war game. It seems like it's almost just scripted based upon looking upon the board. And yet the game has so many great choices. Freeman's Farm 1777 is a phenomenal game. I really enjoyed you got the card play and you're deciding on which units to move, but there's only a limited number of cards. But then you've also got I can't remember what they're called, but you've also got like the special cards, the momentum. I can't remember the cubes, momentum cubes. I can't remember the cube's name, but you spend them to get kind of these dirty tricks cards. You can play dirty tricks on your enemies or have other things come up. Super fun game, and it's fairly quick, it's fairly light, but it is incredibly engaging. That is Freeman's Farm 1777. That is number 5, and that is from Worthington Games. My number 4 goes back to the kind of political side of the American experience. 2-player game, great back and forth. This is Watergate from Capstone Games. Watergate is a great game of the Watergate scandal. One of you plays the Nixon administration, one of you plays the journalists going after him. And of course, you're trying to kind of tie Nixon to people that can testify against him. Nixon is trying to kind of block those things. And again, it's a great kind of CDG. You're playing the cards either for the kind of the points to do actions or for the events. It's really a lot of fun, and it's one of those games that have been around for a while, and I always wanted to play it, and I never did, and I finally got the opportunity to play it, and I absolutely fell in love with this game. It is such a good game. It like I say, it feels like when you're playing like a Twilight Struggle or something like that, but kind of on a smaller, more focused experience there. But if you love the history and you love seeing all the kind of the names of the people pop up and the different events, you'll really get a kick out of it. That is Watergate, my number 4. That is from Capstone Games. My number 3, back to the military side. This is a game another Civil War game. This is one that Ray and I just played recently. We played a few games, and it just blew us away. It's in kind of the same series of games of some that I've just mentioned, but this is Gettysburg: A Time for Heroes. Such a good game. Again, it's not unlike Freeman's Farm 1777 or Chancellorsville 1863, but here you've got various corps that you're kind of heading into the battle. You've got, again, the momentum cube, so you can draw some of these cards to play dirty tricks on your enemies. But you're trying to bring in units as you're fighting over the course of the days here at Gettysburg, and your decks are kind of changing a little bit as you play the game. But it's just incredibly fun. I love one of the things I love about the system is how the die rolls work, because you're rolling a bunch of die. You know, you're usually rolling between like 4 and 6 die, and you're looking for doubles. And if you get low doubles, it's actually bad for you. But if you get high doubles, it's good for you. But you can spend those cubes or even lower your core cohesion in order to do re-rolls to try to get better, better rolls. So you can save the high numbers, and then you're trying to roll the low numbers in order to make them better. Amazing game. Really, really a lot of fun. If you're looking for a war game that's fairly approachable, the rule book we did have some issues with, but once you kind of get it sorted out, it's a fairly accessible game and really a lot of fun, but some real good strategic moments in it. That is number 3, Gettysburg: A Time from Heroes, and that is from Worthington Games. Okay, number 2, back to the political. This is a game I actually just mentioned a little while ago, but this is from GMT Games, 1960, The Making of a President. This takes place in, of course, 1960, the presidential election between Kennedy and Nixon. Players are going to go ahead and take on the roles of either of those two candidates in their campaigns. And again, it's got kind of that Twilight struggle feel to it, because you're playing cards to gain the points, but there may be negative events that play out. You've also got these momentum tokens that you need in order to kind of do the things you want to do on the board. Again, it's area control. You're putting your cubes in the various states because you want to gain control of those states, and it all builds until you finally get to the election night, and you're going through state by state to see how many electoral votes you're getting. And I played some games of this that are so incredibly tight, but it's a wonderful game, but it's also just a great exploration of American politics and the Electoral College and how it works. I really enjoyed this game. So that is 1960, The Making of a President. That is my number 2 from GMT Games. All right, my number 1 game set in America, American history, right? The American theme. This is an area control game / war game, and I've heard it called the Ticket to Ride of war games because it is so accessible. It is so much fun. This is 1775 Rebellion from Academy Games. 1775 Rebellion from Academy Games is a great game where you have 4 factions. You have the Continental Army and the American militia. You have the Redcoats, the British Redcoats, and then American Loyalists. And ideally, you're going to play this with 4 players. And what you're going to do is you play cards that allow you to move your cubes, your armies on the board, but you can also move your teammates' cubes with you to accomplish things. But it's area control because you're trying to consolidate your power over the states you're in. And again, it's filled with dirty tricks. There's cards you can play that can really screw up your enemy. So I really like the meanness factor here. But it's a great game of, as I say, area control, and the theme, the American Revolution theme here, it's the best in the series. Now they've done, 1812. They did French and Indian War, 1754. They did the Vikings one, all in the series. But this one's the best. I love the theme here, and I just love the gameplay here out of them all. So that is my number 1, 1775 Rebellion from Academy Games. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that is my top 10 games set in America. What do you think? What are some of your games with kind of an American theme to them? I'd really like to hear what you think. As always, please leave a comment here in the comments on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. We love to hear what you have to say. Please like this video, and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. We really appreciate that, as well as like us on Facebook and follow us on X. If you do really like the content we bring, I'd ask you to click on, or rather to subscribe to my other YouTube channel. That is Cody Carlson, PhD. We talk about history, military history, books on history, fun stuff like that. And then again, if you really do appreciate what we do, please click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. There's a reason why we Americans don't switch to the metric system. If we went from pounds to kilograms overnight, there'd be mass confusion.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the pen. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
So,
Did you know?
Alaska?
What is he doing? What if that's not that?
oh, oh.